In this video, we are going to make our first element in our transition logic scene. So let's open this scene. Okay, this is empty one. And here I'm going to start making structure for this scene. First of all, I make two groups. First one will be like a helpers, which will contain some elements which help me to make my graphics. So for the production, I will disable it. And the main group, main container for the all graphics, I'm going to use the traditional name object, because in some old version of Vizrt, it was important to have this specific name for the root container. So it's not so important right now, but I still use this name to represent the main container. Okay. And how I can put this image as my reference image? Of course, I have two main options. First one is more like an official way, and I can show you. Just open the scene tab, and you find this background drop zone for the pictures. I can move it from Graphic Hub to this drop zone, and you see this is working. That's fine. You can of course disable it and enable it, and the main advantage of this approach is that you can use this picture in safe way. When what I mean, when your scene will be run in production mode, in on-air mode, this background will be disabled. So it's pretty safe way to have some background for your scene. But I prefer a different way. So let me just reset by clicking this button, and I'll show you a different way to work with referencing. So I'm going to put this picture as a sub container for the helpers. And you see, I'm not going to change anything here. You see, everything is 0, 0, 0, 0, position 0, rotation 0, and scale 1. And only helpers I'm going to move. So for that, I'm going to move as far as I can, not of course in infinity value, by z coordination. Like let's use like -1000, for example. It's more than enough. And second thing, what I'm going to do, it's used to button scale to screen, which stretched this container from corner to corner. Let's use it. That's fine. And okay. And the last thing what I have to do, it's block by clicking by these things, this lock from accidentally moving by mouse. So if I disable it, you see I can just accidentally move it if I don't want it. It can be happen with this. So let's cancel it and block it. Right now, you see, I'm trying to move it and it's not moved. Of course, that it doesn't mean that I cannot change it by manually by changing any parameters on this panel. So let's click scale to screen again, and you see this specific element, this specific container, still on the 0 positioning and scaling 1, 1, 1. So that will help us to revert this positioning in the future. I will show you. And let's create a container under the object. This container can have a name, what we are going to make for the first. Let's use, let's take as the simplest one, it will be our logo type, and I will call this transition logic element as a logo. Okay, that will be enough. And what I also have to do to make a primitive transition logic element, also I need to create a director with absolutely the same, it's obligatory, the same name of the director. So you see, this container should have the same name as this director. So it's very important. Next stage of that, I'm going to make some animation here. Let's add some alpha. Okay. Make key. Move it to the 0. Make second key. And now we have an animation here. Okay, let's check. Okay, we have some animation on the logo director. And for this director, I have to create at least 2 stop points. First one should be O. It's obligatory name. It should be always O. And the second stop point will have arbitrary name, and I prefer to use like in, because O stands for out, and let's use in as an opposite position. And it will be from 0 to 100. Oh no, from 100 to 10. I don't like it. I will use S button on the keyboard and left mouse button to select them, and press Ctrl R to revert keys. Okay, that's fine. And what we're going to do here to create to create a transition logic layer, transition logic element, I'm going to use toggle plugin. Let's find it like that. Move it on the logo, and you will see it's automatically created sub containers, and here also was created several, specifically 4 additional directors. For now we can ignore them and check only the logo director. You see anything was changed? No. So for that I need to also as a last action, what I have to do here is just create default keyframes. Click here. Let's go to the stage, and now you see this toggle plugin is appeared in this director. So everything is prepared now. So what I have to do here also, it's make some graphics, of course, because right now I just prepared the logic part of that. And in order to make graphics, I have to decide. This graphic will be appeared and disappeared only by out in animation, or it can be changed somehow. Should it have cross animation or doesn't? So let's think about the logo type. This logo type will be only will have only out in animation without any cross animation, because we don't have any changeable content for this element. The logo type is just logo type. Nothing will be changed at least right now. So for that, it means we can ignore AX and BX animations, because this is animations created for cross animations, and we don't need to create any additional content graphics for that, because we are going to just move like we're going to play animations from out to in. And for that, what I can do, let's add geometry, and for that I'm going to use just a simple rectangle to don't in order to don't search it again and again. I'm going to use favorites for that. Let's put rectangle here, and by the way, let's put toggle also here. And the last one, also very popular plugin, which I'm going to use, this is alpha. Okay, so now I'm going to use these plugins pretty often, so that's I decided to use it is in favorites. Okay, so for our convenience, I'm going to change the layout. I prepared my own layout. As you can see, I'm going to switch to the tree, and in this way I'm going to in this way I see much more of this, much more symmetry at the same time. Let's add this rectangle. Not under this container, because under container with toggle plugin, it's everything under this container is controlled by toggle. So don't put anything under this container, only as a sibling or parent anyway, what you want, but not under this element. Okay, let's rename it like a, just let's use like a square. And now I need to place this rectangle in correct position. So how can I do? Right now I don't have enough resolution. Probably you have a big screen, and for you it's not a problem. But sometimes even for big screen, it's also can be very convenient to sometimes just zoom to specific place on the screen and watch accurate and move everything very accurately. So for this, what I'm going to do is create I'm going to use the second camera for that. Let's go to the camera, and you can see I'm just can copy this camera and paste to second camera. And now you see the first camera is absolutely the same as the second camera. The same position, same direction, everything the same. So after that, I'm going to make us like a zoom in. I can do this in two ways. First one is wrong one, moving only by Z coordinate. And you see, when I move the camera, I also change the perspective. So I don't want it, just paste again. And what I'm going to do is go to lens section and change only angle. And you see, in this case, we don't have any issues with perspective. It's keeps the same visual effect. So of course I don't need this central part. So I'm going to use this shifting just to find the part which I want to see on the screen. Yeah, this one. And you see, I can use first camera as a production camera with the full frame view, and second camera as a zooming camera, which I use only for developing. So let's move this square on the correct position. Let's go to the first camera and make a draft movement. Like I'm going to use it here. Something like that. Very, yeah, approximately. Okay, let's switch to the second, and I'm going to I'm going to move this axis center to top left. It's a very, very convenient angle if you want to make very accurate graphics. And move this element by position, but also when you put your axis center to the top left corner, you can also use screen transformations, because this center X, and Y positioning, it's specifically for the positioning of the top left corner. In any case, even it's not even if your axis center is not placed in correct way. But what's a good advantage of that, you can still use, or you can also use screen size. Screen size always works from this axis center. So it's very important to have a top left corner for the axis center. Okay. So I can use the screen size. I can use the same numbers just to make sure that it's square. Okay, I did it. And now you can see the advantage of my approach, putting this picture as a normal container within the whole scene. So you see, I placed the square on the correct place, but how can I get the picture, get the color from the background reference picture? So for that, it will be very convenient just a little bit move the background, which you know it's not possible to do here. If you put picture here in the background, the drop zone in scene, you cannot move it. But here you can do this. And if you want to just revert this position, just double click on position and everything is placed as it was on 0, 0, 0. Okay, so I'm going to move it like that. Zoom in by switching camera from first to second. And I'm going to use the feature of a rectangle. It's a vertex color. I'm going to picking color from this. For the another upper corner, I will use just a drag and drop technique. Pick bottom color, drag and drop, and that's done. You can also see that the colors are not the same. So let me just move it closer. You see, the gradient is a bit different. So if it's important for you, I would recommend you to use textures like a PNG or JPEG pictures, file images to represent the correct gradient. But for now, I will keep this because for me it's not so important right now. So I will use these gradients. For me, that's enough for this specific moment. Okay, but now you can see that the logo container with toggle and the square are siblings, and there is no common parent for that because it should be like a grouped as an element. So of course I have to do this. Let's make a grouping and let's call it like a logo group, like something like that. Okay, but when I changed the path to this container with toggle, I always have to, almost always, I will show you the excluding situations. And I always have to remove that, and place the toggle again. Maybe you can ask me why, but it's very important thing because you see the name of the directors and the name of these containers are connected to the path almost from the root container to this container. But as you can see, this is not a full path. It takes only from this part. It takes it's always 19 characters. So what we can do here, if we want to have this lower thirds element as a separated one, which you can move like, let me show you, like from one group to another group and make it independently, like move it here or move it here. So if you want to make these movements in safe way, I can recommend you to fill up the name of this element up to the 19 characters in these elements. So let's just calculate how many characters we still here on the left side from the name of the group. You see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 5 elements. Okay, so what I can do, just add 5 hyphens here, like that. And let's repeat what we did. Remove everything. And not everything, but only specific things, all children and toggle plugin, and place toggle plugin again. And now you can see the name of directors and containers are disconnected from everything like outside this container. So now it's much easier to move it without losing all these connections between toggle and directors. So that's very important to keep it like that. in order to avoid any extra errors in the future. So you see right now I have a lot of extra directors, which of course I don't want it. I don't want it. So I will just remove it. Okay. Let's create a second square. Should be like inside one. And for this, I'm going to just move a little bit. And of course, I need to change the colors. So let's actually change the colors first of all. Change and copy. Change and copy. And now, okay. How can I place it correct? For example, I can reset the position of the background, hide the previous one, and here I cannot see anything here. It's very hard to recognize where is my rectangle and where is a gradient from the background picture. So for that, just temporarily I disable the vertex colors and place element as I want. Okay. And size will be, okay, 377, 377. Okay, that's absolutely fine. And only after that, I'm going to enable the vertex colors again. And if I completely disable the helpers, and you see, everything is fine. Exactly what I need. Okay, of course, this part I would prefer to also group it as let's call it like a logo backgrounds. And now you can see these two planes are situated on the same Z position. It's not a huge deal because right now there is no animations and there is nothing, no movements at all. But if I want to make some animations, especially rotating, you can find some issues with this. So you see, I'm starting to rotate it, and you see the feature, and it's not a feature, it's not a back, and it's not a feature, it's just how the 3D graphics works. This is called Z fighting, and I'm going to avoid this issue. I can use two approaches. First one, it's more intuitively understandable. It's just moving the elements which should be closer to the camera, just move it a bit, like something like that. By Z coordinate, just like 0, 0, 1. It's also is enough. So now if I'm going to rotate, you see no issues at all. But this, I also want to show you the second solution for that. Let's revert, you see, now it's still fighting. And so for that, I'm going to use the plugin. It's called as a Z sort. We can disable Z sorting here. And even in Z, even if you disable that Z sorting for your children, sometimes it doesn't work well. As you can see, it's not a silver bullet, so sometimes it doesn't work as it should. So just I recommend you to use this approach. Just move it a bit. Okay. So also maybe you notice that the rotation work wrongly, and everything connected to the transformation, it works pretty weird. And why it's going on? Let me go to the first camera. It's because let me enable the bounding box. You see, the center point is in the middle of the screen. So when I rotate it, you see this rotated. It rotates over around this point of the space. So what I prefer to do, to click here at center and center. That's fine. And it's not the best solution for now because you see, we have right now pretty dirt solution for the positioning. You see this logo BG have strange numbers here in positions. And here we also have this weird and dirty positioning. So what I can suggest here, let's keep it as simple as possible. It means remove all these weird numbers as much as possible. So just for that, I'm going to use center for this axis center, and this axis center also should be centralized. And this container I'm going to put in the 0 position, and this also in the 0 position, and this I'm going to also reset axis center. And now you can see I can just put this element again on the correct position. Let me do this accurately by this camera. Use the zoom in. Okay, and now it looks good, but at the same time now we have much cleaner numbers here. So this square has only different scale. Everything is everything the rest we have default values like position and axis center are 0. For the square inside, the same, position 0, axis center 0, 0. And here we have scale 1, 1, 1. That's also a good one because this is like a standard size for this block. But here we have a different position only for the whole group. That's fine. And let's add the last piece. What we have to add here, it's a letter D. Let's go to the Figma and check which specific style I used. Extra bold. Okay. And where it is here? Yeah, I found it here. So let's move it here like that. Let's rename it and use this letter D. And where is this element? Probably in the center of the screen. Yes, okay. And also here I'm going, first of all, I'm going to change the inner orientation to the center. And only after that, I'm going to move it on the correct position. Also for that, I need to move it up just a bit, maybe not a bit, maybe Z1 here, and let's zoom in. Okay, and temporarily I'm going to hide this background and yeah, may have some alpha, some semi-transparent alpha just to make more visible what I'm going to do, what I'm doing here. And let's change the, there is actually, it's annoying, but in a text plugin you cannot find font sized parameter, so you have to change the scale itself. So let's position in this correct place. Okay, something like that. All right, now we can return the alpha to 100 and the background. It was not accurate enough. Let's change it again. So the size, I'm using control button and scrolling on the mouse, and use control plus shift plus scrolling the mouse. I have an ability to control very, very accurately these values. So now I can place it more accurately. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now we can remove it, not remove it, just hide it. And now the logo type is done. We can check. So the positioning is good. So the last thing that we have to do here is add some animations. Let's do that. I'm just going to copy alpha from the logo container from here to here and copy to here. And actually on this container it's not needed. It was done by me just for example. Yeah, let's keep this toggle container as simple as possible and forget about this inner content, inner containers. So let's just check and change the animation. Let's appear the background first and later just after that. You see, it will be like that. Okay, this animation is pretty simple one, but be patient. Later I will show you how we can increase quality of that animation. So for now it's enough. And now if you need to test your animation, you have to click play. But after that, you will see that the playhead is stopped. That's why. Why you asking me? Because yeah, because there is a stop point and it's placed exactly on the 0 position. And when you click start, the playhead tries to start this animation and stop exactly in the beginning of this director by this stop point. So to see this part of animation, you have to click not only just start, but also continue animation. And now you see how it works. But maybe it will be annoying for you for the first stage of developing your animation. So you can actually temporarily change the type of this stop point from stop to tag. And just don't forget to get back this stop point to the stop style before you go into the production. So for now, that's fine. Now I can just click play and see the animation from the start. For the out animation, of course, the transition logic toggle will use the same animation which we created, but it will be played not from left to right, but from right to left. Usually it's not what we want because the in animation usually should be much longer than out animation, because when you introducing some graphics on the screen, it can take time. It can have more sophisticated animation, a lot of elements, extra elements. But when operator wants to remove this element from on-air graphics, it should be removed very quickly. So for that, I recommend you to make us a third stop point. Let's stretch this interface to be able to see this button. Okay, let's create it. And you see the in animation, it took like 1 second, and for out animation, yeah, to be honest, I prefer use maximum 0.5 second, but I prefer this best solution usually, only just 0.3 of second. So of course this stop point also has to have the O name. It stands for O. And now when you click in, when you press take in button in Vizrt or Vizpilot, you will see animation from O to in, and when you press out button, this animation will be played. Then this because direction from left to right is preferable by toggle. So let's just repeat this animation like that. I'm using C button on my keyboard just to copy keyframes. I'm pressing C button and move it by left mouse button. Let's check in and out. In, out. In, out. That's good. So, okay, if I'm happy with animation, I revert this stop point from tag to stop. And this is done. This element is completely finished in terms of master scene elements. So of course, to control, you have to create an additional control scene. It's called like a collapse scene. So for that, we need to close this scene and create another one. Of course, it should be created in exactly in the same dedicated folder and project like we did here. Let's create a new scene, and this scene will have, actually this scene can have any arbitrary name, but I prefer to use absolutely the same name as we used for the transition logic layer. Let's use logo. Okay, open it. And for that, I'm going to create a very, very simple scene with one container. As again, I use object name for that. Also, I'm going to use object control, where it is, yes, this one. And here I'm going to enable this parameter transition logic and specify 3 elements which have to be defined here. First one is layer identifier. So this is the third place where we have to name exactly the same element name. Case sensitive, of course. State identifier, which we want to reach by running this thing. Of course, it will be in. This is the name of our stop point in this director. Okay. And the name of the background scene, as always, is master. It's also actually arbitrary name, but it should be, of course, used as it exists. If you named this scene as a master, just please use this name again here. Okay. And yeah, this scene is ready. Technically, it will work, but just only for our convenience, I'm going to use additional text here. And you see, I'm going to put it not under this object, because this part of the tree should be empty, because everything that goes to as a child of the container with object control, this element will go to inside the master scene. So I don't need anything here. It should be empty. So that's why I use this this container as a sibling for this container. Just like a title. Okay. And let's change the orientation like that, just for convenience, not, and call it like a logo in, or just logo, because we don't need to create a second control scene for that, because we can use this one scene for 2 actions, for in and for out. There is no additional statements, so we use only for in. So I'm going to use the logo. Text here, and let's increase it as big as possible. This part won't go to the on air, so it will be just for convenience of the operators in the production room. Okay, save it. So the first element is created, and now we can play with this one element, and let's create some controlling template in this content pilot, or the new name is this director. Let's do it in the next video.